Hi, Wanda. How are you?
Hi, good and you, Sid. It's great speaking to you.
Yeah, likewise. It's such a refreshing day in Durban where it's not so hot. It's nice and overcast.
I was wondering where you're living. I couldn't pick
Mhm.
that up. I wasn't sure.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to know about your journey to becoming an author, a public speaker, a blogger, and radio presenter.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I must be honest. It had its ups and downs, but we are on our way to a new season at the moment. And I'm very excited to share that with people if I can a little bit later.
Sure.
But I've been in the arts industry as a speaker and a writer and a author and a radio host rather. And I've hosted a radio program for almost 25 years. So
Wow.
I've been through the ranks. I started as a presenter, and then after that, I became a producer. And after being a producer, I became the program manager at a radio station. And then after that, station manager. And I resigned at the end of last year just to pursue my own career and do what I'm really called to do and what I enjoy doing. Not that I didn't enjoy radio, but it
Mhm.
was time for a move. You know, when you turn 60, and this year I'll be 60,
Oh.
and I decided, no, it's time for a career change and just get to the
Mhm.
things that I really want to do. But apart from that, I did radio. I was for a while in the corporate industry as well, and I did some stage productions, musical
Wow.
productions. Yes, I
Mhm.
was also an artist. Very few people know that. But about 20, I can't remember the year now, but say 10 years ago, I decided to
Mhm.
leave the music industry. And I feel very strong about the fact that we should give younger people the opportunity to move through the ranks and get on stage. You know, sometimes we overstay our welcome, and there's
Mhm.
incredible young talent that has to take sort of like the pre-show, or they need to open the show with two shows
Mhm.
or two songs. And I just got
Mhm.
to the point where I thought, you know what, it's time to step down and pursue some other stuff that I feel I'm equipped to do. And we've toured overseas with some of the productions. We've made videos and movies. And yes, and then I started writing. I actually started with my own biography. And then after that, I was a co writer in many of the books on the shelf here in South Africa. And yes, that was about me, and also the courses that I've started developing. I realize I've actually got a lot to share, and I started writing the courses, and I hope that that will serve the community.
So, who are the people that you look up to in the sectors that you're in?
In terms of artists, there are quite a few.
Mhm.
I normally look at the ones, not the ones that have accomplished so much, but more the ones that respect the stage and that are
Mhm.
professional on the stage and responsible. So for me, that's a big thing. And
Mhm.
in terms of the radio media world, there's a guy called Carl Wasty. He's on one of the radio stations here.
Mhm.
And I love Carl for the way he's natural on air. He loves joking on air, but he always ties the continuity on the show very nicely together. And, you know, the show is not all about him. I love
Mhm.
presenters where you can hear that they're also serving the audience and it's not
Mhm.
about them. And then Lance Rothschild, who is a big name in the industry, radio industry in South Africa. I've learned a lot from Lance, and I deem him to be an incredible radio personality, but also somebody who encourages and develops young presenters and
Mhm.
you know, management and so on. So those are the two people in this world that really stood out for me when I saw your question. So yes, those are my people.
What about the ones in the blogging space, though?
In the blogging space, I at the moment I focus on Christian bloggers.
Okay.
But I also look at people with a different view, worldview, And there are so many. I'm not even going to try and light somebody or, sort of mention a specific person. But I love people who push the boundaries. Even though being a Christian, I feel that we are very narrow-minded, and I'm very outspoken about it. I don't think we are willing to explore other avenues simply because we feel this is wrong and that's wrong. We sort of prejudice sometimes. And I think we really, really rob ourselves from an incredible world where we can also be relevant and should be relevant.
So what have been your highlights thus far?
Oh, geez, it's actually everything I shared with you in the beginning. But I think a super big highlight was, and that's a bit personal, I was diagnosed with breast cancer 4 years ago. And the highlight for me is that I went to the doctor the other day and I'm clean. Everything looks fine.
Wow.
And some of the other personal highlights, obviously, my grandchildren, they are, very special to me. I learn a lot from them. You'll be surprised how much you can learn from a youngster. And there's a lot of wisdom and, things that you can learn from them about the world, because I realized the other day I've actually come a long way in terms of the generations. In our time, there wasn't even television when I was a little girl, and there wasn't the internet. And if I think of how things changed, it's absolutely incredible and mind-blowing. So I decided last year, when I stopped working in an office and I turned 60, I want to know more about all the platforms that there are possibly could be. Because I think sometimes we as older people shy away from the new things and we fall behind, and then you become that lady, just show me the knoppy. I don't know where it is. I don't know how to switch this on, that kind of thing. And I don't want to get there. I never, ever want to get there. So my highlights are just simply really life. My highlight was leaving the radio station. And why would I say that? That should be a low light, right? For me, that was a highlight, simply because I could end the season, in a literally on a highlight. And what I really loved about it is the work in the communities, because radio stations and influencers and celebrities should be involved in the communities, because if you don't and you make it about yourself, you become completely irrelevant. So for me, there's a lot of highlights that we had in our radio station where we really reached out to the community on a regular basis. And I think the lowlights, I don't really have lowlights, I'm sorry. I just love life. I love the opportunities. I love growing. So for me, highlights would be something you create and generate, or you can live in your lowlights and get nowhere.
You beat me to that lowlights question. Okay, that means I'll ask the next one. What are your future plans for the rest of this year and beyond?
Sid, I would imagine that starting sort of a career from scratch. If I say that, you must remember I stopped singing about 10, 15 years ago. My voice is completely lazy. It doesn't want to sing anymore. When I sing, even the dog cries, so that should give you a good idea as to what the state of my voice is at the moment, my vocal in terms of singing. So I'm more exploring blogging, and blogging, to me, that's become a wonderful platform to reach far more people. And then obviously public speaking, I didn't have much time for that in the last few years. And I feel that that's really my strong point. That's something I've got a lot to share and a lot to say. I'm already busy working on my new book, and I'm very excited, but I'm keeping it under the radar for now because it's a lot of work.
Okay, and finally, what are your words of inspiration for people that want to enter the sectors that you are in?
I think one of the things that really stood out for me when I saw your question, because I asked you to send the questions beforehand, typically radio, I need to be prepared. I would imagine that starting as an entrepreneur, would be to be true to yourself. I'm not trying to be all airy fairy, yeah. You got to be true to yourself. Find your identity, find your niche. That's the first thing you need to do. Don't go on the internet and try and imitate somebody else. Don't be somebody else. People will pick that up very, very quickly. And I'm not interested in people who just preach and they don't live what they're preaching. So for me, that's important. Always be prepared and have a vision for yourself. Draw up your vision board, have it in your office, in your car, and whatever somebody else wants you to engage in, or come with their visions or their plans, be very careful, because if it doesn't tie in with yours, you're wasting your time. You're simply wasting your time. So I think when you are somebody like myself and, a public speaker, make sure that you understand your audience and make sure that you are well prepared when you speak to an audience. There's nothing as bad as people underestimating the intelligence of an audience. So first and foremost, you want to be a public speaker, make sure that you train yourself, that you equip yourself. There's lots of opportunity on the internet, TED Talks, whatever you want to do, but just please don't try and be somebody else. That's really boring. And then also embrace technology. I think don't shy away from all platforms. There's nobody looking bad or looking good. Even if your video is a little bit misty because you don't have a good camera, or whatever the case might be, make sure that you understand technology. Do not fall behind. And do not be afraid of all the warnings that people give you about social media. I'm sure you've seen lots of those videos. Some of them are really scary. I watched the movie Adolescence the other day, and I was blown away. But that's one of the things, keep up to date with what's happening, even in the movie world, in the movie industry. And then diversify your revenue streams. Don't look for a salary. Don't think that your business is going to make a success and have a huge profit in the first year. Many people will tell you that it takes years to eventually show profit in your industry. So don't overcharge people when you go for speaking engagements. Start small and let people get to know you and not your ambitions. And when you're at that point, that's where you grow your business. Obviously, it depends on what kind of business you have. And the other thing is make sure that you create quality content. I've actually had a look at your podcast, and I'm very impressed at the diverse kind of speaker or guest that you allow on your program. So well done to you for that. It keeps it interesting, and there's something for everyone. And then also build a strong brand. Don't get confused. Don't go on all these apps and let the app create your brand. Get your brand from your core, from who you are, because that'll be authentic. And then use all the apps, to sort of build it and give you some wisdom. But it's incredibly important to know who you are and what you stand for and what it is that you want to accomplish. Sorry, these are a lot of tips now. But something else I would definitely recommend, attend as many as possible networking events. This is where you get to know people. This is where you broaden your horizons. And then invest in your marketing. I spoke to a producer once, and he said to me, people spend, say, argument's sake, they would spend 100,000 on a movie, but then they budget 5,000 for the marketing. Your marketing budget should be twice the value or the money that you spent on your production. Many people get that wrong. And I think that's the biggest problem, because we are profit driven. That's the first thing that we're looking at. And then also plan your long-term ideas for development. I think that's important. Your relationships with people, remember that how you treat people is how you will be treated. That's just karma. That's how life works. Treat people with respect and kindness. Those who offend you when you're in your business, telling you that you're not good, when you go on social media, it's an absolute landmine.
Mm.
that's incredible, or landmine field, don't pay attention to the negative people. Just send them an emoji, like a smile or whatever. But don't let that deviate you from what you are called to do, what you are set to do, and what you are prepared to do. Be you, and that's it. That's the most important thing. So take criticism as a building block and not as something that crumbles your dream. And then the last thing that I'd like to say is stay informed. Please don't be narrow-minded. Let's open up our minds. Listen to younger people, even if you don't agree with them. Allow them to debate with you. There's nothing as incredible as debate. You know, I drove my grandkids to school the other day, and did we have a debate? That was
Wow.
incredible. Where the teachers, and I mean, these two kids are in primary school, where the teachers should be allowed to say to kids whatever they want. When is it personal? When is it breaking down? And what are the kind of things that they'd like to learn in school? And I tell you, I would love to have recorded that conversation and gave it to one of the teachers, because that would have really changed their minds. So be open to conversation and to debate. And that's it.
Yeah, I would just like to say before we wrap off that when you do release that book, do let me know. I'd like to do a chat with you on that.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. It's not going to be your regular Christian book. It's going to be a book based on my podcast, which is open and honest. We're going to be vulnerable there. We're going to confront a few fears, and we're going to challenge people's beliefs and their religions. And I'm not scared to do that. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I look forward to catching up with you on that. And on that note, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Sid. And I spoke a lot, but I've got a lot that I'd love to share. So thank you so much, and all the best with your podcast. I'll keep my eye on it.
Thank you.